water from a lot of conservative activists tonight, online and offline, that Mitt Romney spent a lot of money in 2008. He spent a lot of money this time, and he hasn't really moved his number. If anything, it's gone down a little bit. Conservative activists are thinking, maybe now people will realize this isn't the guy we want. They're just not sure yet that Santorum's the guy they want to go to.
Well, Eric, you've been tough on Santorum for the last couple of weeks or so. I'm reading your tweets. What do you make of his numbers tonight, and what does this mean moving forward?
It means he was the last man standing after all the other candidates were vetted. I think because of what happened with Ron Paul tonight, because of Iowa in general, the way it's turned, everyone in South Carolina is probably going to get another look. I'm not sure they're going to be ready for it. I'm not sure that they have money. Does Rick Perry have money after spending so much in Iowa to only get 10%? Does Newt Gingrich have money? Santorum doesn't have the money yet, but it's going to start flowing in. Will he be able to use it wisely? Time will tell. South Carolina is going to be very, very fun this political season.
And Anderson, I think even though Mitt Romney may not have gotten the numbers tonight that I think some people expected, and they did raise expectations here at the end of this campaign, he'd still tell you that looking at this field, that Republicans at the end of the day are probably not going to nominate a Ron Paul,
right.
And it's going to be very tough for Rick Santorum to bring the entire party together. There was an early survey when it was just Mitt Romney and Rick Perry.
Right.
I almost forgot something talking about Rick Perry there. I don't know why that. There was an early survey, just the two of them, when Perry was at his peak and running well, and it was 54 Romney, 39 Perry. Republicans are willing to go to Mitt Romney. It's just more of an arranged marriage than love.
The Romney ceiling has got to be the big story out of Iowa.
Well, we're going to check back in with you guys, Eric Erickson, Alex Castellanos at Rick Santorum headquarters. We are learning more about how the race looks in the months ahead tonight. Again, more votes coming in. We continue to follow it. We'll be right back.
Why do we grow Quaker roads? Because there are mountains to climb. Dreams to be realized. New worlds to be explored. And hearts to be won. Quaker roads. Energy to get you going, fiber to help fill you up, and help keep your heart healthy. Super people eat super grains.
Hello, how can I deliver world-class service for you today?
We gave people right off the street a script and had them read it.
No, sorry, I can't help you with that.
I'm not authorized to access that transaction.
That's not in our policy.
I will transfer you now.
My supervisor is currently not available.
Would you like to hold? That department is currently closed.
Have I helped you with everything you needed?
If your bank doesn't give you knowledgeable customer service 24/7, you need an Ally. Ally Bank. No nonsense, just people sense.
My husband, Hank, was always fun. Never took life too seriously. Till our son was born. That day, he bought life insurance. Now there's no way I could send our boy to college without it. If there was one thing I could say to Hank, it'd be thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, Hank.
Life insurance you can use while you're still living.
You are one lucky lady.
Learn more from your State Farm agent today.
CNN Tonight, a Piers Morgan special live at midnight. Piers has the last word on Iowa and the first on New Hampshire. Rick Santorum joins him live tonight midnight.
From the front rows of fashion to the front lines of the Middle East, you can trust the New York Times to deliver the highest standard of reporting from the world's finest journalists. So become a digital subscriber and get unlimited access to the Times. Act now and get your first 4 weeks for just 99 cents. A digital subscription gives you the full experience. All the videos, multimedia, blogs, and breaking stories 24 hours a day. Plus, get access to the Times wherever you go with custom apps for your smartphone or tablet. Just call 1-800-252-1006 or go to nytimes.com 99 cents and see for yourself why a Times digital subscription is an experience you won't want to miss. Try it now, just 99 cents for your first 4 weeks.
Aaron Burnett out front, tomorrow at 7, only on CNN.
let me update you right now on what's going on. We've got official numbers. Almost half of the precincts have reported 49%, and Rick Santorum is ahead by 390 votes, ahead of Mitt Romney, 13,594 to 13,204. They both have 24%. Ron Paul's almost up there with 12,205, 22%. Newt Gingrich, only 13%. Rick Perry, 10%. Michelle Bachmann, 6%. And John Huntsman, only 1%. I want to check in with Jessica Yellen. She's in Des Moines watching what's going on. She's our chief White House correspondent. You know, even while the Republicans had their caucuses, the Democrats had some caucuses as well, even though no one is challenging President Obama.
They do, Wolf, have their own caucuses because this will be a swing state that the president will fight hard to win in November. But in Chicago and then the White House, no doubt, they're watching what happens here tonight. And these results already are results that could put a smile on the president's team's faces because you know, the people I talk to, my sources, expect that Mitt Romney will ultimately be the nominee. They expect that Mitt Romney, in the end, will be the person that the president will face in the general election. And so far, what we're seeing in these results say to them that Mitt Romney, in their view, is a weak candidate, that it will be a protracted a primary battle for him because these are results, in their view, that can't make him win quickly, that there's too much of a divided support, as you've heard from so many of the people already, and that really if he were going to somehow pull ahead, he needed at least, say, around 45% support tonight. So what they think they're looking at is a more drawn-out battle, which is just fine with them because, of course, an incumbent president wants to sit in the White House and wait as long as he can before he faces a challenger. The other thing they're going to be looking at, Wolf, though, is turnout tonight. And remember, the Republicans got 120,000 people out to the caucuses last time around. The Democrats got 240,000 people out to those caucuses that made President Obama leap to the front of the pack. They want to see if Republicans in this cycle can turn 240,000 or break that 200,000 number and get that kind of enthusiasm this year. So they'll be looking to see how big the turnout is at these caucuses.
You're absolutely right, Jessica, because that will underscore enthusiasm, how many Republicans actually show up at these caucuses. Stand by for a moment. I want to go over to John King. You're looking at these numbers, and Jessica makes a pretty good point. We heard from a lot of Republican leaders, like the governor, there would be a big turnout. Are we seeing that?
I love this tonight because we're getting the first votes of the 2012 cycle. We're also getting our first case of the serious spin cycle, if you will. There was no way Mitt Romney was ever going to get 45%, but don't blame the Obama people for spinning, well, he needs 45%. That's what happened in politics. 200,000 Republicans, it's never happened in the Iowa caucuses. But what will happen tonight? This is hard to guess. 52% of the precincts, this is a precinct number, not the votes counted right now. And if you add all this up, you get in the ballpark, and I did this rough math in my head, so if you're doing it quickly at home, you'll find me wrong, a ballpark of about 60,000 votes. Now, if you double that, this is precincts, you get 120. We can't say that because we don't know. Some of these precincts will be 20 people. Some of these precincts will be hundreds of people. So we need to see. If you're looking at this, you could guess that they're roughly on track to match what happened 4 years ago in the 120, 118,000 range. But that's a guess. We'll see as this plays out. But Jessica does make an important point. Even Republicans say the intensity gap early on, they want to see that the Tea Party enthusiasm of 2010 carries over to 2012. So we want to see that number at the end. That isn't it. But Wolf, when you watch this right now, again, you see a slight Santorum lead. There's a couple things you look for in the dynamics. 4 years ago, we had a two-man race. Ron Paul won one county. This is Mike Huckabee. That's Mitt Romney. If you look at now, you have a three-man race. Newt Gingrich is running one county. One of the big stories tonight, regardless of how we end up in the end, Ron Paul won one county. We don't have the results from that county, Jefferson County, yet. It's a tiny county. They're not in yet, but look at all that orange or pink, depending on how your color TV shows it at home. Ron Paul has spread the map tonight, including over here into a very important part of the state. Watch this here. Watch this line I'm drawing. You see Ron Paul, you see a little Rick Santorum just to the west of where I drew the line. That's Mitt Romney there. Why does that matter? Well, you do a then and now. 4 years ago, that was Romney country. That was it. He came in second in the state, a disappointing second to Mike Huckabee, but he carried this area very strongly. He's struggling a bit there tonight. So that's an indication that Romney's having a harder time. Now let's come back to 2012 again and look at the map. This, to me, is still the biggest impact of the night. We're missing the votes out here in the western part of the state. Woodbury County, where Sioux City is, 3.5% of the population. Some of these counties have a lot of Democrats. You say, oh, it's 5% of the population, but you know it's a Democratic county. This is conservative Republican country. We don't have any votes yet. 4 years ago, Mitt Romney carried it by a pretty good margin, 15% over Mike Huckabee. Not that many votes, you notice, 4 years ago. So let's see, is the turnout up in this conservative area and who wins? Because when you come back to 2012, this is the area of the state that if it stays this close, when we get out to the west, and now especially that we're filling in these smaller rural counties in the middle, I just want to show you 1.3%. Marshall County, we're waiting for that. That actually is a relatively large county when you get into this part of the state, 1.4%. Webster County, we're waiting for that. This is key. If Rick Santorum's going to pull it out, he's got to turn the rest of the middle of the map purple. Ron Paul's going to pull it out, he needs to contest here. If Romney's going to pull this out, he needs to improve his standing as they start counting the votes. See, Dubuque, 3%. Only 44% of the precincts counted. So Romney is ahead here. If he keeps that margin when the rest of this comes in, it is one of the larger population centers in the state. He could make up the votes in places like this. But Wolf, we're up to 54%. The pace is starting to pick up. We'll keep at the math.
Yeah, well, let me go back to the wall and take a closer look at these numbers right now. More than half of the precincts reporting 54%. And Rick Santorum, the former senator from Pennsylvania, maintaining a slight lead over Mitt Romney by 401 votes. 14,606 to 14,205. Ron Paul third, not that far behind, 13,145. Newt Gingrich a distant fourth, only 13%, 8,081. Let's take a look at the bottom three right now. Still in the bottom three. Rick Perry, only 10%, 6,200 votes. Michelle Bachmann, very disappointing, 6%, 3,359. And John Huntsman, 1%, 324 votes. 54% of the actual vote is now in Iowa, and Rick Santorum, Anderson, is still ahead. So it's a pretty good night for Rick Santorum, no matter what happens when the 46% of the precincts that still haven't reported come in.
It certainly is. Ari Fleischer, last night on my program, you predicted Rick Santorum was actually going to win.
Yeah, I just had a feeling when you looked at Iowa and I talked to people in Iowa, even though he doesn't have a good organization out there, you could just feel a shift in the anti-Romney vote was segmenting toward him. But here's what's next for Rick Santorum. This is going to break his back. All of a sudden now, with no time and no staff, he has to raise a ton of money, withstand a ton of attacks, hire staff, and meanwhile, every week there's another race almost. It's going to be very hard for Rick Santorum to really be able to pick this up and take advantage of it. The burden on a candidate now is massive, and he doesn't have an infrastructure.
James, as a Democratic strategist, how does the Obama White House view this race tonight?
Look, a broken clock is right twice a day. Political spin can be right about that often. The spin at the White House is happy is absolutely true. What Jessica said is undisputable. For this night, I don't know what it means, but you look at these results, you look at what the way the turnout looks, you look at the way that Romney looks, who's going to be the eventual nominee, they couldn't be happier.
Because the field is divided, because the support for Romney is weak.
The idea that 150,000 people show up probably won't happen, or is exactly the right way to conversation, and John made the same thing, but this is not going to blow anybody's mind in terms of turnout. Romney may end up winning, who knows if Davenport comes in, but it's not going to be a very impressive performance. Everybody's going on to fight another day. And they can hardly accuse me of being a White House lackey, but these guys are justifiably happy tonight.
Anderson, I got to push back a little bit on Ari. Ari, I love your tie, but a couple of points I think a little wrong there. First of all, if you are Rick Santorum, South Carolina, January 21st, Florida, January 31st, Nevada, February 4th. You look at the poll numbers, how well Mitt Romney is doing in New Hampshire. Clearly, you want to focus and put out your economic message when it comes to New Hampshire, but this is also a matter of strategy. And if you're Rick Santorum, you want to be able to make a play in those other three states. So it's not necessarily all about, I need to quickly make something happen next week, because you have to say, wait a minute, I could potentially be the guy who is indeed the anti-Romney. And so he focused on Iowa. He said, I need to do well here. He's done that. He now can have a longer strategy.
But he's not the only guy who wants to be the anti-Romney. There's Gingrich and Perry who have more money.
Yeah, but if Perry's 10% tonight,
There's no way that he can't. He can start fundraising off of Iowa immediately, but he has no apparatus outside of Iowa.
I got you, but we also did not.
He's not going to last. The attacks, when they start looking at his record as a senator,
I understand.
that's where it's going to end.
But we didn't expect him to end where he is tonight, and so we can make assumptions. But again, you still have to play this in terms of long ball, not simply what we think may or might not happen. You got to play the game.
How the Obama White House sees these numbers. As a Tea Party activist, how do you see this divided field now?
Oh, it's incredibly frustrating because you see a strategy in play here. You see some really